Okay, welcome everyone. In today's episode, we will be discussing the decline of Pokemon Company with two lifelong players of Pokemon. And I would like to start with a question for both of you.
Okay.
So, what, in your opinion, was the reason for this decline in Pokemon Company?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on the podcast. If you want, I will start by answering. I think the point of decline can be seen if we analyze the points where, like the time they took between game and game. When you were a kid, I'm talking when you were a kid because we're more or less the same age. Games took longer between them, and I think the point of decline comes from shortening the time between games and up to today's standards for video games with 3D, etc. I do believe that is one of the, maybe not the main point, that's something that maybe we will discuss later, but I do believe it's an important point that they have reduced the time. What do you think?
No, that's true. I mean, when we were younger, I don't know, maybe Pokemon, as we're talking about Pokemon, would try to make their games more enjoyable rather than profitable.
Yeah,
of course, we know that Pokemon is like the most profitable company in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think that nowadays they just do it for the money, not for the love of the games itself. And I think that also has to do with as you said, the game industry that basically exploits their employers to have like in a year 2 games.
Yeah, it is pretty pressed all together. I do think that, and what you said, I think it's a very valid point. I think they have switched from more of a let's make it enjoyable, let's make I don't want to say with passion because I'm sure they still work with passion, but there was a different feeling of like let's make a fully fledged game, like a great experience that lasts longer. Whereas for today, we do feel that it's like, okay, we have to keep it pushing because we have to earn money by this time of year. Like it's more for, instead of for the fans, I think this is a bit of a hot take, instead of for the fans, I do believe it's more for the higher ups, like the game is ready to earn money.
In fact, it is funny that many people criticize the Pokemon Company, but they still play their games, which I don't know why. And you could tell me because you said that you are going to buy the new Pokemon game. Me personally, I won't buy it because for me it's kind of shitty. Like, as you can see, it doesn't have even the textures on the map.
I do agree with you, like,
Before you,
of course.
Yeah, I have another question for you because as I'm hearing from both of you, you guys are saying that the games are weaker and that the company switched from more, how to put it, work game from the other ones to be more profitable. So in your opinion, what's the difference between the older games and the newer ones? And why do you think Pokemon Company is releasing weaker games nowadays?
Okay,
so
may I start?
yeah, of course, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the older games are better, not because, well, nostalgia plays a point here, but I think that it's more for the amount of things that they included. Because right now, the Pokemon Company sells you games that are not finished, that they have DLCs all the time, and in this last one, they released the game along with the DLC, which is like, what? Why? So it's kind of crazy.
If you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt you there since I am going to be buying. But yeah, what I do believe is when we talk about the games being weaker, as you said, Carlos, now I do believe that it may be like going back to the point that we talked about before of the time and pushing for maybe more profit than quality. I do believe it has something to do with that, but I also think it's more because I don't think that they were ready to take many of the steps that they're trying to take. Like, as you said before, Pokemon Company is the highest grossing company in the world, and then they want to push the standards to be maybe up there with other titans of the industry, like maybe Rockstar, etc., or Final Fantasy, if we keep it in the genre. And I do believe that push for 3D has hurt them way more than it has helped them. But if we check the first 3D games, I think we still have that soul in them. I think the main issue is that you talk about textures, about the game not looking polished. I think the biggest issue is they're trying to go more for like a realistic art style, when one of the things that has always been great for Pokemon, and in my opinion it's still today, when we look at the characters, like the human beings and the Pokemon, I do believe that it's their art style choice. Yeah, the first games for, I think we can all agree, like X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, all of the, even Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, that they were like spin-off games. They all had like a clear choice of art style. It was very colorful. It was very. It's a Japanese game. It's anime like. And now that they move into something more realistic, some people are like, I don't really like that. I'm playing as a 10-year-old kid that looks like a 10-year-old kid. Yeah. Even though I have been playing a 10-year-old kid all along, but before it didn't look like one. Now it's very clearly a kid. And let's be honest, Call of Duty markets their game for 18-year-olds, 5-year-olds play it. Pokemon markets it for 5-year-olds, 34-year-olds play it.
That's the thing.
So yeah.
Normally, they tend to do this for younger, to take more players into Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's good because you have to keep your audience fresh. Yeah. And the thing is that you have a game to sell, because their main profits are from plushes and from the cards, from the TC. And they have the games for the people that cannot really buy that. And it's like contradiction for me. Like, you cannot do this for a public that cannot buy the other things.
I do agree partially, but I also believe that it's a bit of an itchy topic to try and move around. At the end of the day, the higher ups want money, and if cards make money, then the focus is going to move there. Do you maybe have other ideas?
I had a question for Miguel, but I think both of you can try to respond. So, where can we find the balance between trying to get profit, but trying to make it also accessible for every player?
Okay, for me, the balance was in Pokemon Auras and the remakes of the third gen. Mainly because it has 3D, it has the nostalgia and the things, and at the same time, it has that feeling that it is still Pokemon. Because I played Scarlet and Violet, and for me, it wasn't. It didn't feel like a real Pokemon game. It was like simply just a random game of catching monsters.
Well, to add a bit on what you said, both of us, I can say that like I have been playing every Pokemon game for a while, and Scarlet and Violet is, I think, the only one that I am, even though it's been released a couple of years ago, and I still haven't finished it because it's taking me longer. And I think it's that it has lost that balance. Like, yes, the new designs, as I said, like the new Pokemon, I really like them. The new characters, I really like most of them. But the experience of the game, I think it has lost that balance. And moving on to your question of where do I think the balance last was, I would say it was in Ultra Sun and Moon, since for me it's the last game, it's the last game that we've had without a DLC from the mainline games, which is very important. And as we said before with the Auras games, with Alpha Ruby and Omega Sapphire, it has 3D. And every step of the post game, every little activity is included and it's explained in the lore. That maybe some people buy the new games that have been playing for a while. I'm not talking about like the new customer, because for them it's the first game. It's going to have that same nostalgic feeling that older generations have for maybe Fire Red, others have for Platinum. But I do believe that that in Ultra Sun and Moon it was a remake from Sun and Moon, and we know a lot of people just maybe they complain because from Sun and Moon there wasn't a big difference. But what they did add, they're charging you again, and it was pre-Switch. It was the last 3DS game, which also kept the 3DS prices, so it had that good balance that everyone could access it, and they still made a profit from those games. I do believe that the main thing for me to love those games, since those are one of my favorite games in the saga, is that everything is included in the price and it's explained in the lore. You don't have to be like, there's not a big explanation, but yeah, here you go, you have a new Pokemon. No, everything is included. Like, oh, you want to catch legendaries from other games? You go through magical portals. Like they try to explain it. If you like it,
guys, first of all, thanks for coming and for answering all these questions. I have one final question for both of you to wrap it up. So, do you think Pokemon Company is going to outrun phase, or is this going to last long?
If you want to answer first.
For me, with the traffic and all those things, I think that it's going to a complete decline. And what do you think?
I am of the opposite opinion, even though I am critical, and I do believe they are in a decline. I think this is a rough patch. I think that this last game, even though a lot of people don't like it, I kind of like it. I think it's a step in the right direction, and I do believe it will continue to go on. But that's just my belief. Okay. Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for watching.